Hi, so today we will be presenting on bioremediation. My name's Amaya.
My name's Miranda.
My name is Anna.
I'm Daisy.
And then we will just be introducing these slides and we'll be talking about this within our presentation.
Um, Bioremediation is an environmental process that cleans contaminated groundwater and soil. It also enhances the natural biological actions to remove contaminants from used water. Waste management processes they usually use remediation technology to remove pollutants, but bioremediation process uses live organisms like bacteria to neutralize the pollutants in contaminated areas. So it's less costly for them. It's also a technology that reclaims polluted water and soil. They use it so that it can return the environment back to the people after it's been used for like industrial practices and all that stuff.
So there's different types of bioremediation, and we're going to be talking about the advantages and disadvantages of each. Bioremediation can be very beneficial to society. For example, soil and water can return to being useful much sooner than using other cleaning methods. Bioremediation is also uses less energy than other cleaning methods. And the maintenance needs of bioremediation is very cost effective. It doesn't use heavy machinery or anything like extra tools like that that might cost money. Lastly, the contaminants are much less likely to escape when using bioremediation, which leads to decreased companies' liability. There's also some disadvantages of this cleaning method. Although this is basically foolproof, there are some flaws, unfortunately. The process of bioremediation is very selective and sensitive to certain levels of toxicity, which means that it won't always work in all types of soil, depending on like the pH levels of the soil. Another problem with bioremediation is that it can't be used on all compounds because not all compounds are biodegradable. Like as we see, like plastics, you can't use bacteria to degrade those. And then the first image in here is what successful bioremediation looks like. This is a contained process that uses no equipment and it's an eco-friendly form of land treatment. In the second image, this shows what unsuccessful bioremediation looks like. This occurs when landfills are filled with compounds that are not biodegradable. This causes these compounds to just sit there because the bacteria cannot decompose the objects like such.
Okay, so there are multiple different types of bioremediation, but these three we are going to be focusing on in our presentation. They basically all have the same goal, and that's to just clean up the soil and the groundwater. So the first type is bioaugmentation, and that's just basically going to be adding the microbes into the soil and the groundwater. So basically in the first picture, you could see it's a little small, but you can see how the microbes are going to eventually go into the soil and groundwater. And then the second one is going to be phytoremediation. And this is basically just using the whole idea of plants. And in the third picture on this slide, you could see that every part of the plant will be used, and this will be taken into the soil and the groundwater to help take that contamination away. And then the last one is bioventing, which is this is basically using oxygen and like air, and it's going directly into the soil. So like within like no space will be used in that area. So just like strictly air and oxygen will be going into the soil and the groundwater. Um, and that's basically these all just show to have the same goal, but in different ways of having that same goal.
There are some examples of bioremediation. There was a lot of it, but we're going to focus on these three: biospersion, accidental oil spillage, and land farming. Biospersion is basically, just like she said, it's almost like bioventing, but when the air is injected into the soil subsurface, it's used to stimulate microbial activities in order to promote pollutant environment for polluted sites. Usually in bioventing, they inject it in unsaturated zones, but for biosparging, they inject it in the saturated zone, which can cause the organisms to like move upwards to the volatile like compounds. And then the unsaturated zone is usually good because it promotes biodegradation. The effectiveness of biosparging depends on two factors. We have soil permeability, which usually determines the pollutants bioavailability to microorganisms. Like it determines if the land they're using can take whatever like factors they put in it. It can accept like the bioavailabilities in them. And also the second factor is the pollutant biodegradable. If the pollutants can also be biodegradable, can break down. Those are usually the factors that makes an effective biospargin. It also biospargin has been used to treat aquifers contaminated soils with petroleum projects. And usually the petroleum project the focus on is like diesel and kerosene because those were like the two that has been how do I put it? It's been researched to work better between those two distinct products. Then the next one we have accidental oil spillage. It's caused like oil spillage is usually caused by unintentional spillage of liquid like hydrocarbons during oil exploration and transportation. They use microorganisms like bacteria, fungi, and algae to help with the oil spillage. The technology uses the microorganisms to as an effective way to clean up the oil spillage and contaminated sites. So when they release all this bacteria and fungi, it helps like eat up all the oil spillage in the soil and kind of like take it away from the soil to keep the soil better. Like I was saying, they use those bacterial species because most of them are known to have a high hydrocarbon degradation potential, which makes it better because the liquid spillage that is being spilled most of the time have hydrocarbons in them. So when the bacteria that have the high hydrocarbon and degradation potential, it helps it like help clean up the contaminated soil. Then the next one you have is land farming. Land farming is a technique used to bioremediate crude oil contamination in soils to reduce the oil concentration. It usually involves spreading like dug out contaminated soil in a thin layer, and then they use like treatments like nutrients, or sometimes they can even use like animals and all that. They put it right there, and they use it to stimulate microbial activities within the soil that usually accelerates the natural occurring biodegradation in the process. The thing about it in land farming, they don't like go down into the soil. They always keep it at the surface to see if it can eat up all the pollutants on top of like at the surface of the land that they're trying to go to.
Next, we have article summary. So I have bioremediation of environmental waste, and it's using different microbiomes and bioremediation to cure pollution. So urbanization and industrialization contribute to various pollution types. So they contribute to most pollutions that needs to be cured by the microbiomes. And the main industries include manufacturing, agriculture, mining, and construction. Microbiomes and bioremediation emerges as a preferred solution due to its effectiveness and eco-friendliness. And microbioremediation mechanisms include negation, transformation, and immobilization. And certain microbiomes, including E. coli, were cured the pollutant hexavalent chromium, and other pollutants that were cured were include lead, uranium, and crude oil.
So in conclusion, we talked about what bioremediation is, the advantages and disadvantages of bioremediation, the types of bioremediation we have, examples of bioremediation, and then we summarize the article. And these are references. Thank you.